Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Erik Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health, and a certified holistic nutritional therapy practitioner. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing great. Hope you're having a great day, evening, lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever you're doing right now. Hope it's great, man. I hope it's great. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little stressed out at the moment, living here in beautiful Puerto Rico, just doing the moving stuff, like all the stuff you got to do when you move to a new place, and it's just exhausting. It's never ending. Just spent the last couple of days looking for a car, and I don't know what's worse, trying to find an apartment in New York or trying to find a car in Puerto Rico, because finding an apartment in Puerto Rico wasn't hard. But finding a car in Puerto Rico is turning out to be a very not fun thing because, I'm not looking to spend a lot of money on a car. And so it's kind of one of these things where it's like, well, I'm looking at like bottom of the barrel stuff. And I haven't driven a car, I haven't owned a car for 7-8 years now. So, I forget like what my car comfort level is. And I mean, I'm pretty easygoing, but then that's what I say. I'm like, yeah, man, like anything will do, just something to get me from here to there. And then you sit in that car that's supposed to get you from here to there, and you're like, this is not going to even get me there. This isn't going to get me anywhere. This is going to keep me stuck here. If I try to get this car just to go from here to there, I'm going to be backwards. I'm going to be stuck. I'm not going anywhere. So, just driving around the island, man, and it's hot as balls outside, just all the time, all day, no break from the heat. It's just hot, and it's a nightmare. So I'm a little on edge right now. So I'm gonna do my best to kind of keep it together as we go through this podcast. But look, there might be some holistic explosions. The volcano might blow. But I'm gonna keep it pro. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it professional here, because we got such amazing things to talk about today. Just a couple things that have come across my radar here. By the way, too, if you're new to the channel, of course, reminder: subscribe. If you're new to the podcast, subscribe. But I do want to say I am putting out longer form videos on YouTube right now where I'm diving into some of these topics I talk about here on the podcast, but I'm going real deep on them. I'm, pulling up the studies, I'm screenshots, I'm breaking the stuff down. I'm getting in there with it, Here I get deep, but I kind of skim some stuff. There on the videos, I'm going to be going way deeper. And plus, just the fun of the channel, right? The vegan Trump supporter, the paleo, the Ben Greenfield, all these characters, they're all coming back, baby. Or they're all back. They're on the YouTube channel. So go on over to YouTube, Holistic A-Hole, find the YouTube channel, pull it up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and just be in the Holistic A-Hole universe. So the first thing I want to talk about today is a thing I came across here online talking about antidepressants. So you old school a-holes know I love me some good old-fashioned antidepressant talk. I love the fact that we just live in a world where, people can't handle negativity. People can't handle, the bumps in the road. People can't handle just not feeling optimal. So instead of taking the holistic route of, figuring out from the inside, what's really going on. What could this be related to? What's my diet like? What are the chemicals, the nutrients I'm actually putting in my face every day? And that's, of course, affecting the way my body works. Instead of doing that self-work to really dig into what's going on, let's just go to the doctor and ask them to give us the magic pill that has the chemical reaction that will make it so we don't have to think about all the negative stuff or feel all the negative feelings. Now, look, I know there's those of you who are on antidepressants and you're probably sitting there now, you're angry, you're triggered, you're like, God damn it, Erik, you don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to deal with this chemical imbalance. And to that, I would respond and say, first off, I very much do, because I've been down this road myself. And I still go down that road plenty of times. I deal with plenty of depression, plenty of anxiety. There's nothing I'm doing, or there's nothing that I'm magically born with or, inherently have that allows me to not have to deal with the same shit that other people are dealing with. It's just that I have the proven method, at least for myself, of knowing the foods to eat, of knowing the timing to eat the foods, and all of these other factors that go in to how you feel throughout the day. And it's not just food. It's not just nutrition. It's, obviously mindset, it's movement, it's posture, it's the stuff that you put into your brain, not chemical, but visual. What are you watching throughout the day? What does your day consist of? Who are the people around you? What are the things you're listening to? There's so many factors that go into this idea of mental health, and just a magic pill, just a pill to solve it all it's a shortcut that just doesn't work. It leads you to a dead end. It leads most of people to dead ends. And I know there's people who are very dependent on their antidepressants, and aren't in a situation where they're a hazard to themselves, but many are. And there's a study that came out, or an analysis, like a meta-analysis that studied previous studies, and it's talking about, and this was recent, and it's talking about it's basically talking about how antidepressants may actually increase the risk of suicide, which is amazing, right? This is the title of the article I'm going to read from you. It's in the Daily Mail. New health alert over antidepressants as study finds a rare but serious risk of suicide for patients on pills. So we've known that suicide is a risk for antidepressants. That's why every antidepressant commercial, they give you the, at the end, one of the side effects is suicide. One of the side effects is suicidal thoughts. One of the side effects of antidepressants is more depression. How does that even make sense? How is it that the side effect of the pill you're taking to fix the problem, the side effect is the problem that you're trying to fix with the pill? Where else do we call that a side effect and not just, I don't know, the pill doesn't work? How about that? How about if you went and you took your car, and by the way, I find that when people compare things with the body to cars, I find that's like the most overused, like comparing anything to a car, but it's so apropos, and my brain is so scrambled, and I've been looking at cars all day, so I've got nothing but car analogies today for you a-holes. But if you go to a car dealer and you get the tires changed on your cars, and then the mechanic looks at you and goes, okay, we got the tires all changed, we got them fixed up, we got them pumped up, just a heads up. And this is just a common thing that people sometimes experience with these tires, is the tire might just blow out. So just so you know, that's a side effect of getting these new tires, is the tire might actually just blow out. And so it'll be like you didn't even have a tire in the first place. Just a heads up. No, they don't tell you that, because that's not why you would get new tires. You wouldn't get new tires because you're like, well, how do I continue how do I continue driving this car with no tires? I know what I'll do. I'll go get tires. Same thing with antidepressants. If you're depressed and you get on an antidepressant, and the side effect of the antidepressant is, well, it just makes you more depressed, why would you ever take that antidepressant? Why would you do that? How much sense does that make? Why would you feel depressed? And let's be honest, most of the antidepressants aren't going to people who are actually like clinically depressed. They're going to people who go see their doctors or their psychologists, their shrinks, whatever it is. And that's just the standard of care. Plenty of people go to therapy. Plenty of people go, to a therapist all throughout the week, right? I know plenty of people who go see a therapist and they talk it out. And then, like, why did they go see a therapist in the first place? Well, they're like, I just don't feel right. That's fine. Go talk to a therapist. And what does the therapist do? He listens to him, maybe gives some, little tidbits here and there, and then says, you could probably try some of these antidepressants. You could try some of this Xanax or this, I don't know the names of all the antidepressants. Is Wellbutrin one of them? The doctor just says, yeah, you could probably do well with these antidepressants. People talk about all the time how they take them to feel better. And, some person who's not a holistic a-hole hears that and is like, oh, wow, a pill that'll make me feel better. Yeah, I'll take that all day. All day. And then maybe somewhere, I mean, I've never bought antidepressants, so I don't know if there's like an insert or something with the side effects on there. But suicidal thoughts, suicide, depression, that's a risk of these antidepressants. Why would you take that? Why would you take that? Why would you spend the money to take that? And then why would you say that taxpayers need to fund your shit for free healthcare so that you can take that shit? What is the point? What's the point other than just making pharmaceutical companies more money? Because the chemicals in these things react in our brains a way that they are engineered to do. We just don't know the complications that come from these chemical reactions. Perfect example, SSRIs, serotonin selective reuptake inhibitors. When you have serotonin in your brain, it's supposed to go into the serotonin receptor. It's supposed to get used in the cell. It's supposed to make it feel good, and then the serotonin's supposed to get basically flushed out of your brain, out of the body. You poop and pee it out, right? That's what's supposed to happen. But the thing about these SSRIs is they actually they basically trap the serotonin in the brain, so that instead of like the serotonin going in, doing its thing and leaving, it stays there. And from granted, I will give a heads up. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the exact mechanism of this, but from what I understand, there are multiple of these serotonin receptors on the brain cells, and there's a specific one that the serotonin in your brain is supposed to go in. But if it starts going in these other ones, then you're triggering all these different reactions. So if you have that little serotonin molecule in your brain, and yeah, it goes into the serotonin receptor, and then it pops out and it goes into another receptor that it's not supposed to be in, well, then this is where you start getting problems. This is where you start getting that, well, now I feel depressed. This pill just made me feel depressed. This pill made me feel suicidal. We've talked to people on the podcast who've talked about what it's like taking certain antidepressants, and they're like, I couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking about death. I kept just thinking about panic. My body was just physically shaking all the time. So of course you're going to feel like you're going to feel suicidal because you're like, I can't live like this. And what was the change? What was the X factor? What changed in the protocol there? The antidepressant. You just took a pill that now is giving you these feelings that you didn't have before. You took the antidepressant because you're like, I feel uneasy, I feel uncomfortable, I feel depressed, or I feel this emotion that doesn't feel right, so let's call it depression. When it could be any number of things. It could be brain fog. It could be hypothyroidism. For women, one of the major symptoms of hypothyroidism is depression. For guys, it could be SIBO. Depression is a symptom of SIBO. It could be any number of gut related diseases, because 90% of the serotonin that ends up in your brain is made in the gut. So if your gut's not kicking, then the serotonin ain't sticking. It's a problem. And again, if you come to me and you're like, one of the symptoms I have is depression, I'd say, well, yeah, let's work on the diet. Let's get the sugar out. Let's get the processed foods out. Let's get the corn syrup out. Let's get the trans fats out of there. Let's get the margarine out. Let's get the canola oil out. Let's get the soda out. Let's get all that crap out of there. Let's get the nutrients in your body that are going to make your body work in the first place. And then so many people who I do this with, it's like, I don't feel depressed anymore. I don't feel anxious anymore. I don't have sugar cravings anymore. It all works together. But no, people want the magic pill. People can't wait for shit. People can't do the work. And look, I again, my heart goes out to these people. But let's be real. Let's be real here, what we're talking about. So the article goes, taking antidepressants raises the risk of suicide, a study suggests. Experts last night warned that patients should be told of the dangers before they start taking pills. The research found depressed people on the drugs were more than twice as likely to attempt suicide as similar patients who were not taking them. So the study they're talking about here is it's a letter to the editor by two doctors, researchers from Switzerland, I believe, and it's a newer generation antidepressants, it's titled Newer Generation Antidepressants and Suicide Risk in Randomized Controlled Trials, a reanalysis of the FDA database. So basically what these authors do, this is Michael P. Hengartner and Martin Pluderl. It's one of those like Swiss names. I can't really say Pluderl. It's got the little dots over the O. So I don't know what sound. Is that a U? Is that the U sound? Pluderl? So basically what they did is they went through, some studies that at first were like, well, look, antidepressants are totally safe. Why wouldn't they be safe? No, suicide goes down. And essentially what they were doing was they were misinterpreting the data because, how can I explain this? Basically, the difference in the data was they were measuring like a lifetime use of the pill versus the actual versus the concentrated focus on when most people commit suicide when they take antidepressants, which is typically within the first couple months of taking said antidepressant. That's when most people who take these antidepressants who commit suicide on them commit suicide. So what they did was they took their measurements in amount of years, right? So if one person takes an antidepressant for 30 years and never commits suicide, well, then it makes the pill look great. It's like, look, 30 years worth of no suicide, versus somebody who might take the same pill, commit suicide within the first 2 months. You still average that out. The average of years, measurement in years, is still a lot, right? Versus putting the focus of measurement on the amount of people that commit suicide, regardless of how long they take the pill for. So I don't think that's an exact interpretation, but it's how I interpret what they're saying here. So these guys reevaluated this original data that came from a handful of studies that were done, and basically what they did was they put them all in this table here, and they studied, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different antidepressants. This is all through the years 1991 through 2013. So every year it seems like they're doing like a different antidepressant, and they had they broke them up into the groups, the cohort that was using antidepressants versus a cohort of placebo. And so they marked it all down, and you can see, granted, the number of people taking the antidepressants was about 3 times what the placebo was, but the percent of people who actually committed suicide on antidepressants over 14 years, over 31,000 people, was about 0.11%. So about 37 people out of 31,000 people actually committed suicide, compared to 4 people out of 10,000 that were the placebo, which comes out to about 0.4%. So 0.11% versus 0.04%, which is pretty stark, right? That's, again, about 2.5 times the people who committed suicide on antidepressants versus not on antidepressants. And suicide attempts were even more stark. You're talking about 0.71% of people attempted suicide on antidepressants versus 0.29% people on placebo attempted suicide. So again, that's pretty close to, roughly about 2.5 times, 2.5 times the amount of people committed or attempted suicide on antidepressants as did with the placebo, which, that's, what more do you need right there? What more do you need? And what that number doesn't tell is the amount of people who have thought about committing suicide. It takes, I would imagine, I've never committed suicide. I've never attempted to commit suicide, but I imagine it takes a pretty strong commitment. It takes a pretty strong effort to do it. To make the attempt, even though some of those attempts are like, dude, come on, like, what the hell are you doing? You just turned on your car in the garage, and then the car died, right? Or whatever. And I'm not making light of suicide attempts. I take it very seriously. In fact, it's probably one of the most just heartbreaking ways that somebody can pass away. So don't take this as me making light of the situation. I'm just making the case that it takes a pretty strong commitment to commit suicide, or at least to attempt it. But what we're not taking into consideration in this study is the amount of people that have just merely thought about it. That number could be astronomical for people on these antidepressants. Again, it's all bio-individual, but it's pretty telling that, even if you want to nitpick the numbers, the fact that suicides are so prevalent on antidepressants that the makers of the antidepressants have to say that a side effect of antidepressants is depression to the point of suicide. That's unbelievable to me. So look, I'm going to say it one more time. If you are depressed, if you've labeled yourself as being depressed, start with your foundation. Start with who you are and what you are. Start with your diet. Start with your sleep. Start with your circadian rhythm. Dude, when do you go to bed at night? What time do you wake up in the morning? How much sunlight is actually going in your eyeballs? How much sunlight is actually getting on your skin? How much sunlight are you seeing in the first place? How much green vegetables are you eating? How much fruit are you eating? How much vitamin C are you getting? How much protein are you getting? I've talked about this a number of times on this podcast. Neurotransmitters is what makes your brain work. It's what's giving you all of these thoughts. The actual chemicals going between the synapses in your brain, serotonin, dopamine, epinephrine, right? All these different neurotransmitters, you know what they're made from? They're made from amino acids. So if you have a protein deficient diet, if you have a fat deficient diet, and I say fat specifically because fat is needed to make vitamins A, D, E, and K. Vitamin D from the sun. Vitamin A is a cofactor in thousands of reactions in your body, right? Vitamin E, vitamin K. These are very important nutrients. If you don't have fat in your diet, you're not getting these nutrients, right? So I'm not carb bashing here, but if you have a carbohydrate heavy diet, if you have a sugar heavy diet, if you have a processed food heavy diet, if you have a starch heavy diet, and you're like, how do I get over this depression? Well, start there. Start there. Try the keto diet. And I'm not telling you that keto is the answer. I'm saying try the keto diet. Just if nothing else, you can experiment with new fats. You can get rid of the sugar in your diet and then see how you feel. Do that for a couple months and see how you feel. So my point in all this is when I see a study that comes out and says, new research finds that antidepressants cause suicide, I say, no shit, Sherlock. Obviously. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about here today with y'all is another... Oh, where is this now? Oh, okay. Another study that came out, actually recently came out a few months ago, talking about the effect of sunscreen application under maximal use conditions on plasma concentrations of sunscreen active ingredients. So this was published in JAMA, and it's talking about the some of the main chemicals that are found in commercial sunscreens. We're finding that these chemicals actually leach under the skin and into your bloodstream, which is pretty amazing because these are some very harmful chemicals. Okay, the chemicals specifically that they were studying here were let's see. In these different sunscreens, you had I want to tell you right now, oxybenzone, so that's found in sunscreen. Ecamsol, octocirline, and I think that's it. So these are found. So basically, what they did was they spent the summer studying these people. This wasn't a huge study. It was only 24 people. So of course, when it comes to something like these studies, you have to say, well, what was the sample size, right? So maybe the sample size isn't big enough to say, well, 100% sure that this is what happens in everybody, because you can't do that. Okay, here's the name of the ingredients, by the way, that they studied: avobenzone, oxybenzone, octocrylene, and ecamsol. So what they did was they studied 24 people from July to August. So of course this is the months that you're going to use the most amount of sunscreen, and so each participant used one of the four sunscreens that have those chemicals in them, and would spray it on, and then they would study the blood of these people. And what they found was that that the levels of these chemicals were found not just in the blood, but were found at significantly higher levels than the FDA allowable for these chemicals to be found in your blood concentration. So basically, the skin is the biggest organ of your body, and it's the protective layer, obviously, between your blood and your bones and the outside world, but it's not static. The skin actually absorbs what goes on it. So, this is why a lot of girls who wear a lot of makeup have high concentrations of things like lead and tin and aluminum in their blood, because the makeup they're putting on their skin and the lotions they're putting all over the bodies is full of that stuff. It's full of aluminum. This is why antidepressants are so bad, because they're full of aluminum. You put those antidepressants right on your underarm. That's where your lymph node. That's when your biggest lymph nodes are. Right. That's why people get cancer so much, because they're just putting fucking a toxin directly onto a part of the body where your immune system lives. So you're deforming your immune system, so cancer just starts growing all over your body. So this is what's going on with these chemicals here. People who use the sunscreen are just lathering themselves up in the sunscreen with these very harmful chemicals, and the skin is taking that stuff, and it's like, yep, thank you very much, and it's pulling it into the bloodstream. And when that stuff gets in the bloodstream, we're talking about neurotoxic stuff. We're talking about endocrine disruptors. Some significant findings. I mean, is just the fact that, look, we're in a hormone crisis right now, right? This is a reason why both boys and girls are dealing with, hormone dysregulation, right? Is any surprise, guys are not guys anymore? We have just such a prevalence of beta males, and we have such a prevalence of, bull dyke. No, it's just people's hormones are all fucking crazy right now, and you see it in people, right? You see excessive amounts of women with, something like PCOS or thyroid, hypothyroid, or even Hashimoto's. This is all hormone related. When the hormones aren't working right, when your pituitary gland's not working right, when your adrenal glands are all out of whack, not to mention people just sucking down things like sugar and phosphoric acid from sodas, yeah, your fucking immune system's going to go crazy. Your hormones are going to go absolutely berserk. Your body's not going to work right. So am I saying that sunscreen causes cancer? No. But does sunscreen cause chemicals to get into your blood that lead to hormone disruption, which can lead to disease, which can, of course, lead to cancer? Hell yeah, I'm saying that, dude. Absolutely. I'm putting the sunscreen industry on blast. Now, granted, this is kind of a bad study to make that case with, because it's only 24 people. And I'm sure there's studies out there that will show an even bigger population set where we can start inferring these different conclusions. But for now, look, let's just take it as a smoking gun. Let's just take it as, as the evidence that it is. It's serious shit. So if you're going to go out, you're going to go to the beach. I go to the beach every single day. If you're going to go to the pool, you're going to go just, be outside mowing the lawn, throwing the ball, whatever you're doing. You're just walking up and down the sidewalks with your shirt off, which I highly recommend doing. It's my favorite thing to do. Don't make sunscreen your first go-to. In fact, I would say go sunscreen less. Don't go sunscreen, but also don't expose yourself in the sun for more time than is necessary. Don't expose yourself in the sun and chronically sunburn yourself. Get in shade, wear clothes, wear a hat, but definitely get that sun exposure, because you want the vitamin D. You want the photons from the rays of the sun. You want that stuff in your body. You want it in your skin. You want it in your blood. Okay. What you don't want to do is you don't want to create, a science experiment full of, sunscreens full of toxic chemicals that are going to pollute your body, that just completely erase the benefits of getting all that sunshine in the first place. So absolutely live it up this summer, but be responsible, and by all means, the only thing that's going to force these sunscreen companies to start formulating stuff with better quality ingredients and not harmful chemicals is your dollar. So if you keep buying the garbage Banana Boat sunscreen, Banana Boat's like, oh, people love this shit, let's just keep making it. There's plenty of stuff online that will show you how to make your own sunscreen. It's not very difficult. You can do it with very simple ingredients like zinc. You can do it with Miss A-Hole makes this stuff with zinc, olive oil, some other stuff. I mean, she basically makes a salad and I rub it on my body. That's what we do in this house. But that's what it is. You can go look at the ingredients of what quote unquote all natural sunscreens, and you're gonna see shit, like essential oils. You're like, I can make this shit myself. You absolutely should be doing that. Or buy something where the chemical list is like less than 5 ingredients and you know how to read all that stuff. That's how you know you're going to get the right sunscreen. And again, I can't emphasize enough, don't use that natural sunscreen and think you could just spend 8 hours in the noonday sun, Don't put on all natural sunscreen with olive oil and zinc and, lavender essential oil, and then go, to the equator, go to the Caribbean and sit in the sun from 10 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're gonna be a goddamn lobster. You're gonna be a lobster roll. You're gonna be fucking pulled pork. You're gonna be done. You're gonna be brisket, son. So be responsible. Get under the shade. Right? That's the only way to do this. Otherwise, you're just dousing yourself with chemicals. And again, holistic a-holes. That's not how we roll. You don't want to have to detox because you just toxed yourself. Detox to get all the other shit out of you. Save your precious body. That's what we're saying. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I enjoyed bringing this information. Again, if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe and go on to iTunes, leave a 5-star review. Put a little note in there how much you love the podcast. Share it with your friends. Join me on Instagram at Holistic A-Hole, YouTube Holistic A-Hole channel, Facebook, Twitter, all Holistic A-Hole. And if it's your first time here, take a Holistic A-Hole binge. Catch yourself up with what's going on here on the channel. I really appreciate you guys' love and support. I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.